Hello, dear ones. How are you today? My name is Sarah Lustig, and I am a spiritual healer and coach and a licensed therapist. It's so nice to have you join me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about chaos and how chaos is currently showing up in your life and how you can change your relationship to this and take your power back. And this is a really important topic, especially for women, especially for the women that I work with. So, we're going to talk about how this chaos is currently showing up in your life and how we can help you create safety, which is really important, and learning how to soothe yourself and your nervous system that is so overworked right now. So let's dive in. If you are a smart, deeply feeling, highly attuned, empathic woman, then it is likely your nervous system has been overwhelmed for most of your life, especially if you have not been working consistently on soothing and calming your nervous system. And particularly if you grew up in a dysfunctional family environment, if you grew up in a chaotic family environment, or if you are a woman of color. And this is because women of color have experienced massive generational trauma. All people of color have, but I particularly work with women, so I'm just referring to women here. But understanding how these generational cycles get passed down through family, through behaviors, through patterns, through cycles that are based in trauma, that are based in previous generations and the trauma that they experienced getting passed down through their DNA. This shapes your conscious and unconscious feelings, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, your desires. All of this is important. These generational patterns lead to chaotic relational patterns, but then there's also the chaotic relationship that we have with the external and with the collective. And in the past couple of years in particular, there's been a lot more chaos in the collective. There's been a lot more overwhelm. Never in a time of history have we been aware and kind of privy to so much information and access to that information so quickly. We've never had an experience of witnessing war the way that we do now with social media and so instant that it's not about reporters reporting on it. It's now like people being able to show their own stories and their own experiences. It's very personal, and it really does hit home and create a lot of chaos within us to experience these things. So understanding how those patterns, create how these experiences in the collective and the patterns of throughout history create these generational cycles of trauma that impact you to this day. And so understanding that if you grew up in a chaotic environment, you learned to adjust to that chaos. Your nervous system learned to have a larger tolerance for chaos. And so your baseline for tolerating chaos is going to be a lot bigger, a lot lower than other people might be able to tolerate chaos. This can be and has been beneficial for you in many ways in your life. This has helped you cope with different situations in your life when times are overwhelming, when things were stressful. But it also keeps you stuck in cycles of chaos. And so while it can be helpful, it can also be harmful to you. And so we want to be aware of that. So if you were in relationships growing up where you felt alone in your pain, where you didn't feel like you had support, where you didn't feel like you had safety in your caretakers, or they were the ones creating the dysfunction or the chaos in your family home, then you're going to have a chaotic relationship with yourself as you develop, because you didn't have a model for healthy relationships and development. So understanding how these are going to start showing up, not just within your inner world, but also outside of you. When they show up in your inner world, they're going to look like really big, intense emotional explosions. It's going to look like questioning yourself or judging yourself, being really harshly critical of yourself, or trying to motivate yourself with abusive words, that you don't trust that things will work out in your life, and you tend to live in this idea of worst case scenario, that things aren't going to go your way, that they are in fact going to go wrong, and therefore you have to work harder to account for all of the possible ways in which things might go wrong and prepare for them in various ways, which creates more stress for you and more burnout for you and is exhausting. But understanding these are survival cycles and patterns. These create a sense of just not trusting yourself in general, not being able to trust that you know the answer for yourself or you know what's best for your life, and constantly seeking that externally and seeking that outside of yourself. So these cycles also take place externally, in your relationships with other people, in your relationships at your work, in romantic relationships with friends, in your family. These cycles look like pushing people away or snapping at people, judging them harshly because you judge yourself so harshly, putting up walls between you and them when you do judge them, feeling that others will let you down and preparing yourself for that already and kind of setting yourself up for that, feeling overwhelmed in your relationships and your interactions with other people and not always knowing how to navigate them, but also then craving connection with other people. And so there's this confusion that creates this pushing and pulling, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about. So, these survival cycles show up in our relationships as this idea of push and pull. Come close, now go away. I want you and I need you, then it's too overwhelming for you to be close to me, for you to need things from me. I can't handle that. And so then we push away. And so this is a relationship dynamic that can take place within ourselves and in other people, in our relationships with other people. You might look towards other people to meet your needs and have high expectations of them. And I just want to be clear that high expectations and having high standards are two different things. You're allowed to have high standards for your life. You're allowed to have standards that are important for you in your life. But to be also aware of your expectations for people and whether people can meet those expectations or not, and your own needs and your own capacity to meet those needs. So understanding how you might already feel that people can't show up for you with these survival relationship conditioning patterns, that you won't trust them to be there for you, to hold space for you, for your vulnerability, for what you might be feeling inside, these big intense emotions that are showing up, heartache that is showing up, grief that's showing up in your life as you're going through your spiritual awakening and through your process of healing different aspects of your life, whether it's codependent patterns or childhood abuse. All of these are part of the work that I do with women. Understanding that as you start to learn more about yourself and you start to learn about these chaotic relationships and patterns in your life, you might start to develop some self-hatred. You might start to awaken to how you have hurt yourself in the past, acting from these wounded places without meaning to, and being in codependent relational patterns with other people, being in wounded places with them. Again, you didn't know, so you cannot blame yourself for what you know now and not knowing better in the past. We don't know until we know, and you can't beat yourself up or shame yourself or make yourself feel guilty for how you might have behaved in the past as you are learning more and better about yourself now. Just honoring that this self-growth and this self-learning that you are doing is so beautiful, and it's not easy to be so self-reflective, to change and shift these cycles. This is not easy work to heal yourself at this deep level, but it is so very meaningful to change your relationship with chaos in your life, in your chaotic relationship with yourself and other people. So understanding that there was nobody there to teach you better, that you didn't have a better model for these kind of patterns and experiences based on generational trauma, and that you might have had parents who were codependent and or narcissist, labeled that way. And I'm not one to label people. I'm not one to put people in a box and label them as such, because I understand that both narcissism and having high empathy are related to childhood trauma, are related to developmental trauma. and lack of warmth, nourishing and loving support and unconditional love growing up. So understanding that people who experience narcissism as a personality trait, they are also wounded. They have also experienced childhood neglect and abandonment wounds. And this is how they have tried to cope with life. They are in many ways doing the best they can. They don't always know better. They aren't always aware of how they are hurting other people, although sometimes they are. And they've disconnected from their feelings because of their upbringing and from being able to empathize with other people. Empaths kind of went the opposite direction. They tend to over-empathize, whereas people with narcissism tend to under-empathize with other people. And so both are a result of trauma. Both are a result of feeling a lot of deep emotional things without having an appropriate outlet in childhood. So understanding how these patterns are passed down through generational modeling and behaviors, through witnessing parents, through witnessing grandparents, through behavioral patterns that are rooted in generational and patriarchal systems. Things like war, that has an effect on people. It has an effect on our DNA. It changes DNA. If you went to war, if you had those kind of experiences, it changes your DNA to experience violence of that nature. And then you pass that DNA that is more susceptible to anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts, so many things, physical ailments like cancer, stomach issues, acid reflux, chronic pain, all sorts of things because of generational patterns and these patriarchal systems that have created this generational trauma. So understanding how these things get passed down through our DNA, and then how that genetic information gets changed and impacts you to this day. Not to lose hope or not to lose faith about this. It can feel like, well, if this is in my DNA, how do I even change this? Isn't it something that is not changeable then? And that's not true. It is actually changeable. It's also, we want to make note that it's not your fault. What you experience in having these patterns and cycles of codependency in your relationships, that is not your fault. Again, it's modeling from the parents that you had, from their behaviors towards themselves, towards each other, towards you, towards your siblings if you had siblings. So understanding that you can change these with conscious awareness and present moment experiences where you're connecting with using different techniques to not just access your conscious, but also your unconscious, working together to make more of that unconscious conscious, to be able to break these patterns and heal these cycles, being able to understand the roots of them in your life and how they are showing up in your life so that we can start to break them, breaking this relationship with chaos that you've created. Understanding that emotional chaos within yourself, when you are able to heal that, helps you have a better relationship with yourself, with your emotions, with your body, with your family, with those around you. It creates a ripple effect when you cultivate a relationship with calm within yourself. It is so important to do so, to create a culture of calm within your life, and knowing that it's okay to be intentional about what that looks like, and minimizing the outside distractions that create chaos, like social media, like having too many friends that are more surface level and can't really have a reciprocal relationship with you, with being in a work environment that is maybe too corporate for you or too overwhelming as far as the amount of people that work there, and you need a more calm, quiet space to be able to work, or you need to be able to work from home. Being able to understand what it is you need to be able to have a calm relationship with yourself. And also understanding that when you've had a traumatized nervous system, moving towards peace might be very overwhelming for you. Moving towards calm can actually feel like a threat because you have gotten so used to feeling chaos, because you've gotten so comfortable with chaos that your nervous system starts to read chaos as the norm and what to expect and anticipate in life, instead of allowing yourself to adjust to experiencing more calm and peace. So when you try to start to move towards calm and peace at first, it can actually feel very scary in your body. It can actually feel like a threat. Your body will read it as a threat because it doesn't understand that moving towards peace is actually good for you. It feels that moving towards peace is letting your guard down in a way that's going to be dangerous for you. And so it tries to scare you into putting that guard back up or keeping that guard in place and not allowing it to fall down. It creates this idea that the world is dangerous and it's not safe for you. And this is a way that keeps you stuck in an internal experience of chaos and disconnected from experiencing safety within yourself and therefore within your relationships with other people. So in order to transform this experience in our relationship with chaos, we need to first build an internal relationship to safety. And so this is an intentional process that we go through where I help you build safety in order to then let your guard down and let down that wall that you have built up around yourself and your beautiful heart that is so tender and sensitive. And understanding why you built that wall up around yourself, why you built that guard up to protect yourself. Understanding that many times in your life, the world wasn't safe for you. Other people weren't safe for you. And I absolutely understand and validate that experience. You have been through trauma and experiences that created trauma within your nervous system. So being able to understand that and how valid that is, so that you can start to understand why your body reads these situations as threats and why you continue to attract situations that feel like threat or feel normal, like the chaos that you are used to in your childhood. And so thus you continue to create more and more chaos in your life when you're wanting to intentionally do the opposite, right? And so understanding how this fear, this relationship with chaos kind of creates a tower within you that you build around yourself and your heart. And you can think of this as like Rapunzel in the tower that she's trapped in. And this represents in many ways your inner child and where they are trapped within you and where you are not able to access more of those lighthearted parts that can feel safe in the world and that can trust that the world is safe for them. And so in the work that I do with sensitive women, I help you access these trapped parts and places. I help you access these magical pieces through shadow work and through sacred reparenting work. Through this process of self-exploration and reclaiming your power, I teach you how to really soothe yourself and nurture yourself and create safety within. Creating a grounded relationship with yourself and your energy and your emotions and your experience of your life so that you can experience internal safety, so that you can actually hear your intuition speaking to you, so that you can actually access your compass and trust the wisdom that is there for you to access at any moment. If you can quiet the screaming of the chaos and the cycle of chaos that has been playing out in your life, in your mind, for so many years. When you learn how to ground yourself and create this internal safety, then you are more comfortable being vulnerable and being able to let your guard down, being able to open your heart up, not just to yourself, but to other people, to the things that you want in your life, to a better job, to better friendships or relationships, to more money, to more harmony in your life, more peace, more joy, more playfulness. When you do this, you're able to receive more from yourself. You're able to trust that the world can be safe for you. And you're able to trust in not a worst case scenario, like I mentioned earlier, but you're able to start to shift that and start to believe in a best case scenario for your life. That what would happen if things went right in my life, if everything went the best possible way, that if every day was a magical day full of miracles, that if every day I had blessings just pouring down on me, being able to live life from that place instead of the place of fear, instead of the place of chaos and scarcity, of not having enough love, enough warmth, enough affection and unconditional love, enough support from your parents growing up. You deserve those things. You deserved them then, and you deserve them now. And I help teach you how to do that for yourself, how to receive that from other people, how to trust that you do deserve those things and believe in that. Healing is not meant to be suffering. It's not. It's not meant to be more painful. It's not meant to be more chaotic and create more chaos in your life, although it might. It might, because it's not a straightforward process. It is a spiral. It is a cycle. And so there are going to be more peaceful parts of your healing journey, and there are going to be more chaotic parts. And so part of the work that I do is help you change your relationship to the chaos and disconnect from the external chaos that might be taking place, particularly in a collective level in the world right now, and trust that everything is okay. Trust that you don't have to worry about what's going on in the collective, just to be present for yourself, to show up for yourself, and knowing that is all you need to do right now, to focus on your healing, to focus on what you need in your life, your needs, to focus on your the life that you want to build for yourself, what that looks like, your dreams, your hopes, the things that are important to you, the things that you want in your life. Those are not placed in your heart by accident. Those are soul guided. And so being able to listen to that and trust that. And when we break these cycles of chaos and you take your power back and are able to soothe yourself and be present for yourself and trust that you can be the leader and hero of your own life, then you are much more confident to go out into the world and go after the things that you want and show up for the things that you are looking for, and trust that you deserve them and trust that they are there for you. Understanding that you can have a more full life, being able to listen to your innate wisdom, being able to believe in yourself and go out confidently with that soul's wisdom and trust in that path and that journey. So if you are looking to shift your relationship with yourself, with your emotions, with your body, with your thoughts, with your past, this is a really good moment for you to do that for yourself, to show up and invest in yourself. And I invite you to do that and take that journey with me through inner parenting work, through inner child healing, being able to use the portal use the heart as the portal for this journey, being able to enter through compassion and curiosity for these parts of you, for this relationship that you've had with chaos, and understanding how that shows up in your life, and knowing that it's not your fault. Knowing that these are generational cycles that have played out, especially for deep feeling women who are sensitive, especially for women of color who've experienced racial generational trauma, systemic trauma throughout their life in nuanced ways, in massive ways. Understanding that you have experienced so many things related to wounds in your self-worth. And you can absolutely heal them by changing your relationship and shifting your relationship to self and being able to show up more for yourself. And this is what I help women do. So if you are interested and ready and wanting to develop a more intimate relationship with yourself and really get to know who you are so that you can live a life of your dreams, then send me a DM. I'm so looking forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much to everybody who joined the live and everybody who will catch the replay. Let me know and leave comments of just what wisdom you will take from this. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.